Hello, my name is Martin Hesp and I'm a journalist and I'm a writer, and earlier this year I was honoured to be a guest at the Shoot Festival, a small literary festival that really does punch above its weight. I'm here on the windswept top of the Quantocks Hills in December, just mentioning the Shoot Festival because it was great fun to appear there, and I think the organisers do a good job of getting the word out about humble people like me who write about places like this. And the other reason I've come to the Quantocks Hills is because quite a few years ago I wrote a novel called The Last Broomsquire, which was based on a whole bunch of stories that really did happen up here on the Quantocks about 200 years ago. The main tale involves a bloke who murdered his wife, which really doesn't sound too good, does it? But at the time, people almost rioted when they decided they're going to hang dear old John Walford. The people of the village of Netherstowe came out in a great mob and tried to stop the whole thing happening until the captain of the guard offered them all cider and gave John Walford one last cider-based lunch before they strung him up from a tree. But also at the time, the poets Coleridge and Wordsworth were walking around in these very hills. And there's another story, a guy who was called the Wizard of the Quantocks, a man called Andrew Cross. He was busy experimenting with electricity. In fact, he used to harvest lightning from great big brass rods in trees. And at one point he found small creatures walking around in his Leyden jars, the sort of very early form of battery, and he wondered if he had somehow created life. And of course that got out, and he became infamous as the newspapers reported on his claim. And actually Mary Shelley went to one of his lectures, and soon afterwards she wrote Frankenstein, which of course is all about someone who claims to have created life. So all these stories were happening here on the Quantocks Hills, now an area of outstanding natural beauty. And it is a beautiful place, a very special ridge of hills that stretch northwest from the Vale of the Tone right up here to the Vale of West Somerset. And you can see, I hope you can see, the Bristol Channel way down there, and Exmoor is to my west. I can see Dunkery Beacon, and then there's the great swathe of the Brendan Hills there to the south. It really is one of the most panoramic views in the West Country as we climb Beacon Hill. It's a bit of a weird world. I was just up there on the ridge filming this little bit to camera when a bloke came by and said hello to me. Because if you're a well-known newspaper columnist, and I am in the West Country at least, they put your face in the paper, and so everyone recognises you. And that bloke just came up to me and said, "I'm the bloke who wrote to you complaining about something you wrote about the EU." I thought we should have stayed in the EU, I don't go with all this sort of jingoistic stuff about we can work as separate little countries anymore. I'm not sure we can. Anyway, don't want to get into politics, but that bloke just stopped me, and you know, far from having a go at me, he was incredibly cheerful and said how nice it was to meet me in this windswept place. And I tell you something, this wind is really cold. So there we go.